Hey rat bags, I'm back with my world famous obvious tips. Alright, they're not that world famous, but hopefully these tips will help you still in getting the most out of DEADCRAFT. It's a pretty simple game in terms of guiding you through the early stages with a heavy tutorial, and I really do advise stick to that as much as possible rather than just grinding and doing your own thing. But after about 5 hours in the game, here's what I've learned to help you get through it a bit quicker and a bit smarter. So leave a like, make sure to subscribe for the best in survival games content, and let's go. The game really opens up when you craft the crafter's delight, so make sure this is one of the priorities as you go through the story. This way you can craft a whole bunch of zombie parts, new weapons, as well as new zombie placeables and minions. It's going to cost quite a lot of resources, so you are going to have to do a bit of grinding, but definitely make it one of the first things you get. Also remember, so much gear is locked behind parts of the story, so plough through the story as quickly as possible. It's pretty bloody obvious, but sweep the edges of the map to get more resources. Some of them are nestled right down some of the corridors, and they pretty much respawn every day, so this is how you're going to build up plenty, by going and doing a loop every time you go towards the slums. And don't be scared to buy stuff at some of the merchants, which I'll show you a bit later, as often you're going to have a bunch of them credits just burning a hole in your pocket. You might as well get through the tutorial quicker, so use them to buy resources from traders. Once you get to the slums, there'll be a mission board. Pay attention to these and any other side quests you get from NPCs, particularly the rewards. Obviously if you need more iron, then do the missions that are going to give you more iron or whatever resource it is or reward you get. Some of them are so simple, you've only got to turn in either fruit, veg or maybe some rats. Also you can stack some of these missions as they're pretty much the same as some of the story beats or missions, so you can kill two birds with one stone. I wouldn't get too bogged down in completing every side mission all the time though. Like I said, just keep it to the resources that you need at that time rather than spending too long doing it, as I said, as this is still kind of tutorial phase. Farm and farm a lot. Pretty much every single day that starts, make sure you're watering any of your crops, and if you've got any seeds at all, always make sure they are filled up. Don't get seeds every time you harvest, and again, just like resources, go ahead and buy plenty of seeds to keep your farms going. Also pay real attention to the stores. New ones will open up as you progress through the game, and some of them are open on specific days or they have sale days. So maximise your currency and make sure you buy stuff on sale days only and you haven't left it too late before they're shut. On top of the benefits of having food and stuff, of course, you're going to be earning SP every time you craft something or you farm something, so it's definitely worth making sure you're keeping them farms going every single day as one of your jobs. It is a big focus this game on farming. Space is a bit of a premium in the first stages in your camp, but don't forget you can move stuff around. So make as much space as possible so you can get at least maybe 2 farms going, and then once you're sorted you can reduce that to make room for more crafting benches. Obviously there's 2 types of foods. Watering your food with water gives you normal crops, and watering it with Z blood gives you obviously zombie stuff. Never use actual proper aqua though, always only go ahead and use normal sludge water. It pretty much does the same job, you won't really need to use any of the aqua. With the aqua costing charcoal, which costs you wood, it's not advised to be using it up, whereas the sludge pretty much is guaranteed for free from the start of the game. Don't forget you get skill points for every action you do, pretty much in terms of farming, so it's a good way to keep building that up too. Don't sleep until your health is really low as well as your stamina. Of course sleeping replenishes both, but you might be tempted to just go to sleep as soon as it starts being 0 on the stamina bar. But instead go ahead and keep doing stuff around your camp at least until it gets to the very end. When you sleep, it also means that you're going to have half of your zombie self come back, and this means that you replenish a whole chunk of your health bar to go even bigger. So never eat lots of zombie stuff just before bed, a bit like avoiding cheese. If you have got a big battle coming up, you may want to make sure that you get some sleep in so it gives you as much health as possible before going out and starting it. This will also reduce how much zombie food you have to eat to get that full zombie mode to use the powers to maybe take on big bunches of enemies or bosses. And you really do want to be using that zombie power as much as possible, as it can decimate big groups, so always make sure before battle you're full zombo. Try not to use the Ziv blood because it's got so many other uses. Obviously for helping grow your crops as well, you're better off making sure you actually grow some foods and get the extra benefit of this turning you into zombie, but also replenishing your food bar and your water. The same goes for pumpkins, which also replenish your stamina. So try not to drink just Ziv blood to get you to full zombo mode. It's much quicker and easier to turn back to human by eating roast rat, which is super easy to get hold of, than becoming zombie. At a pinch, it's always good as well to eat the Z meat. You won't lose any health, it regains you food, and it's going to give you 5 zombie. Don't forget to have a nice little balance between undead energy drinks and Heaven's Blessing. They both give you health, but of course the undead one is going to give you more zombie. So it's always worth having at least around the same amount as the Heaven's Blessing in case you want to switch from one to the other. Whenever you're crafting at the table, it will pull anything you've got in your storage. But that's not the case when going ahead and plant. So make sure you haven't left any seeds in your storage. And regularly put your building materials in your storage, as you really won't need to carry them around unless you're going to be giving them to a NPC as a quest reward. Likewise, you do need to make sure you've got water or Ziv blood on you to go ahead and water your crops. It won't pull it directly from the storage. Always grab whatever's here. Normally it's a dead rat and some sludge. As remember, picking items up does give you some SP as well. Don't forget to go ahead and craft your dead rats. You may feel like you've already got too much food, but you gain a bunch of SP every time you cook something. So even if you're not going to use it because you've simply got way too much, it's a decent little way to earn some extra SP. You won't be able to unlock a bunch of new skills or items until you've gone ahead and completed parts of the story, so do keep checking back regular to see if there's anything new unlocked. Once you've crafted the Crafter's Delight, that opens up a whole bunch more items, but you won't be able to craft the rest until you get to the Ark. So do make sure you follow exactly what the game wants you to do. I wouldn't spend too much time gathering resources or just grinding out for stuff. Complete every mission involving the mad scientist grandpa, as well as Vernon. Don't forget you also get buffs when you're well fed and well watered. It doesn't explicitly say it, but in the top left you can see we've got a shield icon. I do believe that means you will take less damage. Also, more stuff that you should focus on rather than just every unlock. Abilities, especially stuff that reduces how much water you're going to need. It's pretty minute, but eventually it will help in not needing to drink as much. Likewise, anything that's going to give you more resources. This is what I would spend the bulk of my SP on first. Get more resources for mining, chopping, and just gathering. There's a few that you don't really need, like the rat meat paradise, as you should have plenty of that lying around. Then after that, anything that gives you extra health. It's pretty easy to get killed in this game. Unless you're really paying attention, you can only take a few hits sometimes. So anything that's going to boost up your life. But yeah, focus on stuff that's going to give you more materials. Ones I would avoid are the shakedown, because in town, as soon as you start doing this, it raises your wanted level, then it might take a while for that wanted level to disappear. So I would avoid increasing that, as well as the rat one. When it comes to weapons, as I've said, I think melee is still the way to go, since you can't craft any of the guns really past the pistol anyway until you reach the Ark. I wouldn't really bother trying to save up or making loads of ammunition for anything yet. You get so much food that does so much, I wouldn't really bother with these early cooking things until you get a bit more into the game. Definitely you'll get more bonuses out of the stuff once you get along, but so much of it is gated behind the story, you can pretty much get by on living mostly off of rat, or just eating the common vegetables that you'll grow. You do get more bonuses, it's true, when you go ahead and eat a barbecue or roasted stuff, but I still think you're better off spending your SP on other items. Particularly aim for pure filtration. This will allow you to craft more Z blood, and that's the one thing that you'll probably run out of more often than not. It takes quite a lot of resources to craft this as well, but it's definitely worth getting early as you can. And it's not a bad idea to have it pretty close to the crop plot where you're going to be growing your zombie stuff. It does also upgrade your water steel that you've already got, so you can still go ahead and craft aquacola, but more importantly you can start crafting blood. You can make Ziv blood out of 3 different materials, the Z bone, the Z heart and the meat. Try and keep the hearts because you'll need them more often than not for other items, but certainly with the Z meat you should have loads of that. And you should have plenty of sludge if you've been collecting it on a daily basis. So I would try and get this as soon as you get enough resources to craft it. As soon as you're able to, go ahead and try and get the homeward bound skill. You'll also need the great outdoors, and they go hand in hand being able to craft a camp, as well as the ZPS. ZPS is going to allow you to teleport from any location. Getting back and forth between the slums and your home base can be a bit of a drag, and it really doesn't cost much. You'll start to get disassembled corpses as you progress through the story, and you should have plenty of Z bones if you've killed a few zombos. So always have a good handful of these on you, especially when you get to the last boss fight. If you're not prepared or you have to come back because you've just been owned, then it's so much quicker to use one of these than run all the way back. The instant camps are good as well, obviously going to give you more stamina. And again, if you've been playing the game a while, you should have plenty of this stuff. I've got to say, in the early stages, the handgun is pretty useless. It takes about 2 or 3 shots, and aiming with it sometimes just isn't that great. I would focus more on melee weapons. But the first one that I did go ahead and craft, the Worthless Sign, it wasn't that great. It's meant to keep your distance, so if you kind of hit and run away. But many times when I went straight up to a zombie, it just didn't hit him at all the first swing. So pay attention, don't look just at the strength, read exactly what it says, as it doesn't give you any other indication that one weapon will be ranged or other, but it will say in the description how best to use it. You won't need much placeables until you get through the first tutorial sections. The little boom can be pretty decent, but it does use up a bit of gunpowder. I would say if you're going to choose between guns and that, then I would definitely craft more little booms maybe, rather than actual bullets. At least until you get to unlock more guns. A lot of the enemies in the game will just pretty much tank towards you until they get really distracted. So place your placeables in a good cone, pretty much firing at each other with you at the middle. You can always lead enemies towards you as well, so you can set stuff up so you're not triggering them and trying to do it while getting attacked. The combat is pretty basic. Like I said, I would avoid projectile weapons until you get some better guns later on, and just go for maybe either the zombie weapon that you'll be able to craft or the regular axe that you might be able to get in the early game. And simply use the dodge ability and them zombie powers. You might not seem it, as they're pretty weak sauce, the early zombies that you get, but it is the core of the game. You're meant to be having a whole bunch of these growing at all times to use against bosses or bigger swarms. So always have fresh crops of average Frankies. Make sure you've always got enough blood to grow them and you've got some tucked away in storage. So you don't want just the regular zombie Frankie sprouts, you want them to actually be grown into proper zombies, and this does give you XP. You can do up to 10 at a time. If it's not coming up with the prompt to place your Frankies, sometimes it just automatically applies to seeds. Just go into your inventory and press equip. It will then give you the window to choose exactly what you want to plant. Don't forget also your zombies will store in a separate section when you click on the storage. So again, make sure you store these. You might as well have them filled up, ready to go for whenever you need your next zombie army, leaving you more space to carry more, as you get a bunch of these when taking out some of the bosses. Your zombie placeables have limits to how much you can place, and they've got categories. The Zombie Sergeant costs 25 points each, so you can only put 4 of them down with a 100 limit, and it comes under turrets or ammunition. Then you've got other zombies that are under different characters or classes. So like the Tombstone, that is a separate category. You can see there it's like a trap, so you can only place 2 of them as it costs 50. So make sure you've got a big mix of all the different types so that you can use them to take on bigger swarms or the bosses. The final boss fight is a pretty tough one. It has waves of enemies that will spawn, and this is the whole point of getting your Zeds ready. So make sure, like I said, you've got pea shooters, you've got some of the tombstones, and maybe you've got a good 4 zombies that you're going to take with you that possibly have guns and knives. I would avoid any that have molotovs, as they often burn you more than they'll burn any enemies. Then simply go around placing them, getting ready, and use the switch that pulls the doorway down, as you can often catch a bunch of the enemies inside it, decimating them, as well as the boss Brandon. You will need all 4 kind of turrets, as well as 4 zombies at least, and I reckon a couple of them gravestones too, and just put them all around the area and just keep kiting the enemies towards you. And there we go, that's the beginner's guide to ZombieCraft so far with tips. I'll be back with more advanced ones, take a look at the rest of the game once we get to the next section, and a special video on how to defeat Brandon. So check that one out, and I'll see you ratbags for more guides for survival games soon. Bye bye.